Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Shane and I are back talking about the Traitors Season 4 finale. With us, we've got Zack from Survivor Vanquish Season 14. Zack, welcome back, or welcome to the Tribe of Nerds for the first time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to talk about this crazy finale.
Yeah, it's an interesting finale to talk about, and I think once this finale ended, I felt like immediately, okay, this was better than Season 3, like for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a recency bias, but like I feel like with the Traitors, every season is better than the last one. But I truly feel like this one's the best so far.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because like it felt like it ended on a high note, and then like the last one didn't really end on a high note necessarily. I mean, we liked Dylan Efron, but like everybody else in that group just kind of was non-existent for me throughout the season.
Yeah. Who really watches Traitors rooting for the faithfuls come out on top? We want the Traitors to win.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and like Rob did that so amazingly this time. And I was surprised because at least from the edit, I thought he was going to try to win with Eric. And like there must have been plans in the works to do what happened, and they just didn't show it, which is good because it made us surprised. And I like that.
Yeah. I was very impressed with Rob throughout. I mean, he was able to throw his traitor allies under the bus when he needed to at the right time. I mean, it could have ended badly when Lisa didn't go out the first time, but then he managed to like finish her off basically like Mortal Kombat style. So no, I think like, and you know, Candace is still bitter to this day about it, but I think like there's no way Rob isn't the best traitor, like even better than Cirie in my opinion.
Yeah, really from day one, he hasn't made a mistake. He started, even when Donna was in charge of the shortlist, he was still, I think he picked the best option for him. Not the best option for the viewers always, but the best options for him every single time. I don't think he really misstepped in his decision-making ever.
Yeah, I agree, because I mean, it's sad to lose Ian and Rob C, but they were best for Rob R's game to succeed in it, to get rid of strategists, because then nobody else was really going to go for him.
Yeah, and I mean, Rob R became a strategist and essentially became a gamer in the same way that those people were nobodies, and then they went on these game shows, and now Rob did it, which is really impressive. And I personally, at this point, think his game is better than Cirie's. It's close, though. I know a lot of people would argue otherwise. The thing Cirie had going for her, though, is like her name never came up. Nobody suspected her. Rob had suspicions on him, but he had set himself up to the point where it didn't matter. Like, he had the perfect endgame. So in that regard, yes, Cirie has a leg up. But the thing that all these people defending Cirie's game don't bring up all of a sudden when they bring it up for Boston Rob is like she played with these nobodies. Where they're like, oh, Boston Rob played with nobodies. So yeah, he had a dominating win, but like we're going to knock it down because of that. Nobody knocks hers down. But then again, like I'm not saying her game was bad. Her game was amazing. And when I saw it, I was like, I don't know that anyone's ever going to top this. This might be one of the best reality TV wins, not just Traitors, but here we are, and Rob R is up there.
Yeah,
you know, I especially think being the first Traitor, she actually I think had an easier time because after her dominant win, I feel like they made the game a little harder for the Traitors. So I think Cirie played a little bit easier version where like the challenges didn't expose as much. I don't think there was a murder in plain sight her season.
No.
So like Rob had other challenges that she didn't have to face in her season.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the meta game was not really a thing because there's the first time where now everyone's like, oh, there's a gamer up there. Or there's like one of each like housewife gamer and then someone else, like all this other stuff. Or like even the thing that Rob somehow navigated was that the meta game of like, oh, they balanced the genders and like 3 woman traitors went, so there must be a guy, and still they weren't voting out guys.
Yeah, they really should have thought about that. But like, you know, we can go over kind of Rob's decisions in this finale here that solidified him getting the win. I mean, throughout the season, it's really been that he's built this relationship with Moira. And that, I mean, did they already know each other from Love Island? Because they were both from Love Island.
I think
they knew of each other.
Okay.
Yeah. Like they met each other once or something, but they weren't really that close. But then again,
on the same season.
Yeah. Like, at least from my perspective, even if you go to like some event or something and you see someone you kind of know and you don't know anyone else, like you gravitate towards them, even though you like don't really know them that well. So I could see it being like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the major thing here is that I think we said it, you know, at the beginning, or maybe we said it while we were watching together as well, is that Rob has to do this, and he has a pretty clear path to the end. I believe it was while we were watching. And we said going into this finale, he should murder Mark, keep the ice skaters, and then take them out. And that's exactly what he did. It was funny to watch Mark throw a little bit of a hissy fit, getting murdered, and then having to step into the box. So
yeah, and it was so mellow too. Like he didn't really like when Jam got murdered in plain sight. Like he went out kicking and screaming and said all this stuff. And like here it was like nothing, and they didn't even flash back to the turret to give us the reasoning for why Mark went. It was weird, but what I wish happened, because I was thinking about this today, and I'm like, this would have been the perfect, funniest thing ever, especially because Mark's a Survivor fan and it ties into like someone from past season. They should have clipped in Boston Rob being like, adios, arrivederci, sayonara, or as Mark Ballas says, see you in hell. That was Mark's little like quip on his way out. That would have been a good one, but nope. He just got to see you in hell, laid down. It looked like there was a pillow in there for him too, and they like lit the ring of fire. But that must have been so hot.
Yeah, I don't even know, like that. It's goofy sometimes when they do this stuff. I mean, again, back to Boston Rob. When I see someone with a pillow under their head, I just think of Heroes versus Villains with the towel. But I don't know, like I just feel like Mark was so irrelevant the entire season. Like as much as he can claim that he was heavily involved with what was going on, like I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I can feel for him because it seems like he's a fan of these shows. He seems like a nice guy, at least from his social media. He seems to have personality and like a lot of self-awareness. So like to be a fan of these shows, finally go on something and then barely be shown, like that's got to be frustrating. But for us as viewers, I mean, it's almost like a meme at this point that he's just so purpled and then gets so mad about it, which makes it funny. And in the sense that actually makes him relevant, because that made him more relevant than like Dorinda.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Dorinda was literally brought back to literally do nothing.
Yeah.
It almost feels like production almost like went back and re-edited the end of the season after Mark started complaining. Be like, oh, you're mad you have no edit, you're really gonna get no edit, because like he gets one line in his big moment getting murdered, and then in the reunion I think he got to talk once. And that's crazy for someone who made it to that was final 6 or so that he made it in, and we barely heard from him. And I think it was Janelle said in an interview once, if you weren't boring you would get screen time. So
I guess I feel like in every Traitors season, like you just wonder why this person was cast. Like they did it with Ivar last season. Like why was Ivar cast other than they wanted another like British dude? Because I think because they saw season 2 and they were like, John is like this guy who's like calling out everybody at round tables and using all these big words in his British accent, and they're like, okay, Ivar can be the next John. And that just wasn't the case because Ivar was just a boring person. But
I mean, Mark had a few moments, but they're probably not what Mark would say was his best moments. But I mean, when he dressed up like Sherlock Holmes, like that was funny. And then he's like so mad when he voted for Natalie to get banished. That was wrong. And it's like lying on the pool table, like all mad. Like that was funny.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think some of his best moments were him looking dumb. Like you said, the pool table was one of my favorites. Him and Rob laying there, like, we're screwed. And Rob's like, yep, we're definitely screwed, man.
But they had to murder Mark here. Because I think, like, Mark was doing fine. Like, if you're getting this far in the game, I mean, I've heard people say, like, in Traitors, like, you can be a terrible player and get far, but Traitors kind of rewards the quote-unquote terrible players. So in a sense, for Traitors, that actually makes you a good player, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of weird to think about, but, like, Mark made it far and other people didn't. But he had to get murdered here because he was clearly a faithful. And, like, nobody was going to banish him. And they all knew that there's 2 traitors left. So it's like, if you don't murder him and you murder Johnny, well, you can banish Tara, but then what happens at the end?
Yeah. I think it just made the most sense for what was going to happen after, because then you are going to leave, like, the pair, and, like, you're able to convince Moira, like, hey, there's this pair that's still here. We got to break them up. At least one of them has to be a traitor. So
yeah, because I think, let's say they murdered Johnny, and then I think Eric would have been banished at the round table, and you go final 4 of Moira, Rob, Tara, and Mark, and, like, that could be tricky. I think they get Tara out at 4 because, like, Mark's gullible, like that, so he'd go with it, and then end the game, or do they not end the game? I don't know.
Yeah. Zach, what do you think would have happened?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because, like, I did feel the best world to build was the one that Rob did with Johnny and Tara, but it also felt like Rob could have gotten these guys to do whatever he wanted at the end of the day. Yeah. So I think he probably would have still had the numbers. He would have just gotten rid of Eric and then pinned the other ice skater, whichever one he didn't murder, as the other traitor, and they probably would have just ended there.
Yeah. Although I could see a scenario, because, as I said, I think Mark is kind of gullible. So if the last person to get to him is Tara, and we even saw, like, at the end of the penultimate episode where he's like, after Tara's blow up, like, she's a faithful 100%. So I could see her swaying him, and they tie it up. And it's like Rob and Moira voting Tara and Mark voting Rob. And that gets dicey because I don't know what happens in a tie.
Yeah, I certainly think he would have probably had to kill Tara and then blame Johnny as trying to be like, oh yeah, he just wants it to feel like he would never murder his best friend. And yeah, I think murdering Johnny, I don't think would have worked as well.
No.
Yeah, that's why it had to be Mark here for Rob to, like, secure the win. Like, once it was Mark, the win was secured.
Yeah, 100%. So then we are going to get to that next round table where Johnny is going to get banished, and they're really trying to convince Moira. Like, I think they pretty much did all they could. Like, Johnny and Tara, I give them kudos, because, like, it's very hard to do when you know that, like, Moira probably has a better relationship with Rob, but you're trying to convince her that it's the right move to win the game to vote with them. Like, I definitely understand, like, their predicament.
You know, I think their problem was with their plan. I think they had Moira convinced to vote Eric out. Obviously, she was gunning for him at the end, but in that world they were building, Rob was the other traitor, and I don't think, no matter how much editing was making it seem like she was waffling, I don't think there was a second where she was ever thinking Rob was a traitor.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because you could tell even at the end when she was trying to be like, oh, I got you, I'm a traitor, and she's like, oh no, I'm kidding. Like, she thought they both won. She's like, you're faithful, like, this is what it is, we both won.
Yeah, we saw her face after she realized that, like, she had no idea that was coming.
Yeah, we'll get there shortly. And so Johnny gets banished, and so the ice skaters are broken up, and then we're gonna get to the fire of truth, the pit, and Tara is going to get voted off first, which, like, obviously they were not, none of them were gonna end the game. Everybody was gonna try to get someone out at that point, so that made sense.
Yeah, they had you, because if someone voted to end the game, then it's obvious they were a traitor. That's what happened to Kate in season 2, where, like, they murdered someone, then banished Sandra, but this wasn't the time when they had the 5th place person reveal their role, and Sandra's like, oh, I'm a faithful. So they know there's a traitor because there was a murder, and then Kate's like, oh, let's end the game. Like, you can't do that. So they were all smart here. But it seems like Rob had gone in, like we saw in the edit where Rob goes to like Eric and Maura. He's like, banish Johnny, then we go to the 4, banish Tara, throw in the green, and the game. It was like a quick plan that was sort of a plan. We'll get to it.
Yeah, it was sort of a plan. It didn't exactly go to that according to that plan.
Yeah, well, we'll get to. I do think that was the plan at first. I think we'll talk a moment later on. I think kind of changed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's talk about it now. So this is where we think like the 3 of them are just going to end the game. Like Rob and Eric are both going to win together, and Moira chooses to end the game, and then Rob chooses to end the game. Which at that point, Eric obviously knows, so he votes for Rob. But like, yeah, I mean, this is a crazy moment because we didn't expect Rob to necessarily just immediately backstab Eric at this point, but it makes sense for him to win on his own at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like when he recruited Eric, he had every intention to end the game together way back when. But I think what changed that is like Maura was so convinced Eric was a traitor that Rob, if he went against that, then it's like putting suspicion on him. Where, I mean, at that point, sure, he could have. It doesn't matter. The only risk would be if Maura votes to continue the game and Rob and Eric both say end the game, then there is a chance, because they have to banish again, that Eric and Maura could vote out Rob and Eric wins by himself. Although everything we know about Eric's is no way that happens. But
no.
Yeah. Which part of me was like, just do that, because regardless, Maura's going to be mad at you because you're either going to vote her out here or you're going to the end and telling her you were a traitor the whole time. So the way that it happened, he had to betray Eric and then do what he did to Maura, where in this case, like, you're only having Maura mad and not Eric. But Rob had a really good quote that was like, would you give $100,000 to someone you met 3 weeks ago? And that kind of explains his logic. And especially someone like Eric, who seemingly has a lot of money.
Yeah. Zach, what did you want to bring up with Eric that kind of probably sealed his fate here?
So I think it was actually the pinky promise between Rob and Maura. I think until that happened, Rob was going to be happy to end the game at 3 and just win with Eric. But I think Moira making him pinky promise actually gave him an opportunity where he's like, oh, she really wants, it's guaranteed she's going to vote for him if we continue. So why not continue and get all the money? And obviously confessionals, editing can be a thing, but all of his confessionals were talking about wanting to end with Eric. So I believe at least at the beginning, his plan was to end with Eric. And that's kind of what he was saying in the reunion too, was his plan was not to win alone from the very beginning. It just presented itself as an opportunity and he took it.
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of playing the game, like as a game body type person, like that is the move to do, is to do what he did. The problem with these is that like you're bringing in people that don't think like that. Like they're celebrities and whatnot, and they don't have that mindset. So that's what makes it a little challenging. And like Cirie sort of found that in her season with those civilians that were really upset at her. Although here it seems like, of course, like Eric had hard feelings when it happened. Like, how couldn't you? But he got over it, which is great. And like saw it for what it was, which is an amazing game move. But I did feel really bad when Eric, in his confessional after it happened, he's like, oh, like, I'm just a nice guy and like too trusting of people. Like, it seemed like he's had these things happen before, and like it's not good that it happens again.
Yeah, I can relate to it.
He was talking about though, when he was like, I just personally could have never done that. I was like, yeah, that's easy to say when $100,000 doesn't mean that much to you.
Right.
Like, maybe if you needed the money a little more, you'd be a little more willing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I definitely feel bad for Eric in this case. I definitely don't think he would have tried to vote Rob out had Rob like thrown the other fire in. So that was definitely a decision prompted by Rob's decision.
Yeah, seeing Eric's face after, it was just so sad. His face, like, it was just pure, like, it was almost like when Trishelle voted for CT at the end of last season, just the face of pure, like, why are you doing this to me? Like, it just felt so bad. And we saw two of the coldest moves ever pulled in, maybe in reality TV history, in that finale there, and they happened within 5 minutes of each other.
Yeah. So let's get to this moment. So Eric goes, and now at this point, we're going to reveal that Rob is the traitor. Moira cannot believe it. You know, he pinky promised her he's never going to get a girlfriend, which turns out to be false as we find out at the reunion. He does indeed have a girlfriend from 2 months ago. But yeah, I mean, this is such a glorious reaction to watch from a TV perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was good that like she seemed to immediately kind of get over it a little bit. Like she was stunned, but she's like, oh, like figuring it out. She's like, well, that's the game. And like he literally couldn't have told me, like we're playing two different games. Because I'm seeing a lot of people saying he betrayed Moira, but he didn't. Like he couldn't tell her. It's the rules of the game. Like that's just how the game goes. And I don't think he like intentionally was like, oh, I'm gonna drag her to the end so I can make her look foolish and this and that. Like he's like, I want to, she clearly, her goal is to win the game. Like we can't both win the game, so let's get her as far as we can, but like I'm gonna win the game, but like she's still gonna have a respectable showing. He betrayed Eric 100%, but like he did not betray Moira. They're just playing separate games, and she didn't know that he was playing a different game.
Yeah, well, the people that watched this show for the housewives and are believing that Rob like did everything dirty and like all of that, like I just don't think they understand these types of games.
Yeah, not at all.
So yeah, so I mean, Rob wins again. I think we said it. Rob is the best traitor. I mean, again, it is between him and Cirie. I mean, I don't think anyone comes close to these two. So
no, absolutely not. Like I'm definitely as of now saying Rob's the best one, but I can easily be swayed back to Cirie. It's like not or it's definitely very close. But yeah, I don't even know who would be in third for like who's the third best traitor. Like maybe Phaedra, maybe Boston Rob, but like they didn't get that close to the end.
I put Boston Rob towards the bottom of my lists. I blame him for most of the chaos that was in the turret for that season.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Carolyn was doing decent for a while until she finally got called out, and then she just fell apart. But I might put her at least in top 5. I'm thinking, yeah, Phaedra's probably in there because she again was also doing really well until Dan like exposed her. And then she fell apart. And then maybe Brittany. But I mean, she was recruited, so she didn't play the whole time either.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, that comes with its own challenges, which we saw with Eric, where like you're playing one game with a set of assumptions and rules, and then you have to completely pivot. So I feel like that's a really challenging situation to be in. And in this version, we haven't seen like a recruited traitor win yet. I mean, Eric's the one that came the closest. We thought he was going to win, but I guess not.
Right.
So yeah, I just feel like that's like a tough spot to be in.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
It's really hard to switch teams without switching your actions at all. And then Rob has had this time where he's built this basis of this is how I act in this game. And we saw him in like the last few episodes. He got to a point where he was barely caring. Like he was lounging around the castle. He was like, I'm good. Everyone thinks I'm good. I'm just vibing around here right now. And then Eric doesn't have that, where he is not used to being the traitor and just did not talk for the last 3 round tables and made it very obvious something had changed.
Yeah. Eric wasn't very good at line. I did also want to point out, I think we talked about it when we were watching too, Rob's outfit of the overalls with one strap off, and then you have like Moira dressed like so elegantly and like fancy, and then Rob just, it looks like he got off the farm.
Right. And even like Tara had a nice dress. Eric had like some suit with Martin Luther King, I think, on it, which makes me think of someone that needs to be on Traitors one day. Coach.
Oh my God, yes.
Which I do believe he was in the running for this season, and then he dropped out to do 50. Like, I think he was between the two, and he was going to do this, and then he didn't. But that would have been amazing to see Coach here.
Yeah, I would have loved that. But yeah, now every time I hear Martin Luther King, I just think of Coach.
Yeah, because I feel like Coach would have aligned with Eric because they're both musicians.
Yes.
And like Coach should take him in as like his assistant coach or assistant, whatever music term he wants to use. It would have been good.
He would have been the new wizard. He would have been the new Stephen Fishbach.
Oh yeah.
Do you think Coach would have drank the Rob Kool-Aid too, though? I think he would have seen Rob as another honorable warrior to play the game with.
He would have been the JT and been like, "You're the warrior, Rob. You're gonna. I'm gonna make sure that you win because we're both full of honor and integrity."
Yeah. And I mean, he drank the Boston Rob Kool-Aid in Heroes and Villains, so bring another Rob, he'll do it again.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Let's talk about the reunion a little bit, which they really gassed up this reunion as like super dramatic. All this crazy stuff went down. Colton apparently left the stage. Ron was going to call Dorinda out. None of that happened, at least not that made air, and it just is confusing because I don't know where that news came from if it wasn't even true. So I thought this reunion was pretty boring.
Yeah, I thought it was boring too, and I didn't even know like what's the point of these reunions because I don't even think I've watched any of the reunions from the past seasons. But I did hear that they filmed a lot more than they showed.
Okay, so
yeah, I definitely think a lot of like actually entertaining stuff seems to have hit the cutting room floor. And it seemed like more of like, they focus more on a little bit of drama. They let Portia and Candace talk way too long about how bad they are at the game and how they don't understand it.
Right.
And like it was so boring. Even Rob was falling asleep on the couch. Like he was there. I wanted to hear them talk about the game, and they barely did that. Besides Candace and Portia showing that they don't understand it.
Yeah.
Right. Like this would have been a perfect opportunity for people to explain their rationale and logic behind things. And it was just random drama. And like, why is Portia getting so much time to speak when she was basically the first boot? But then Mark Ballas, who gets 6th place, gets like one little line.
Yeah, that was ridiculous to me. Like Portia should not get that much airtime in the reunion. And then, of course, we're going to have to make time for Michael Rappaport to just randomly shush people. Like, I don't understand.
Clip it.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. But I like that they brought up his eating habits again.
Yes. Yeah. That was a funny clip to see again. But, like, otherwise, I don't know. The clips to me were just, like, weird. I didn't really like the clip montages, like, as opposed to Survivor. When Survivor's done them, I feel like they're done pretty well. Like, these weren't really done that well. So
they were just goofy gags that didn't add anything.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was just trying to make a show of it.
Yeah. I did appreciate Sesternino calling out Jam Jam as, like, the pick-me of like, I thought that was good. Like, again, if the gamers had actually worked together, because I now think it's because I think Sesternino has said it on his podcast of like I think Jam Jam like throwing him under the bus is like a big reason why he ended up getting targeted. So like if the gamers had actually worked together, like they could have all done better.
If there would have been a gamer anywhere near the turret, maybe they would have stood a chance.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think with this cast and the way it played out, though, like Sesternino was not going to get too far because they would have sniped him, and rightfully so. Like that's kind of, I don't want to say a flaw in the game, but maybe a caveat with Traitors is that if you're a really good strategic player and you're a faithful, you're going.
Yeah. And like earlier we mentioned the like people saying like it incentivized terrible players get far. I don't know if it's necessarily terrible players because that's I'd call like Rappaport's a terrible player. He didn't make it far. I said boring players make it very far in this game.
Yeah. Like they could maybe be fine players, but it's just like they're so boring they don't do much other than just be loyal.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we always define, like, as fans, we define a good player as someone that, like, makes strategic moves and whatnot. But, like, every game design is different. And Traitors is a game where you can, like, being a good player in theory should mean that you have the best chance to win the game and get far. And in Traitors, you can get far as a faithful and even win, as we've seen in the past, by basically doing nothing. Like, just going with the flow. But I would say the optimal faithful strategy is kind of do that, but you can't be like the most faithful of the faithful, because if there's no sus on you, then you're gonna get murdered. Like, it is what it is. But if there's too much sus on you, you're gonna get banished. So like you need to find that sweet spot, and I think that's like the optimal strategy for a faithful. We kind of saw Sandra do a little bit her season. Like, I think her and Dylan Efron are probably the two best faithfuls we've seen so far.
Yes.
But yeah, I want to see a faithful come in, and maybe we'll see this with the civilian one, because I think that's the next one that's going to air.
Yes.
But like, really game it a little more, because a lot of the faithfuls we've seen, they don't know how to play these games, so they kind of just like don't do much.
Yeah, something I'm hoping with the civilian one coming up is that we get maybe more airtime for people, and like they can show why all these people were cast, because like they have to be somewhat interesting to get cast on a TV show. I feel like so.
But season 1, those, like, all of them got purpled. I mean, of course they're going up against like celebrities and gamers, but still.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that didn't was Michael in that season, where he was like the loudest faithful, and then was like third boot or whatever. So
and Christian, I think.
Yeah, because Christian was a traitor. So, yeah, I think those are the only two in that one. So if they can do more with these civilians, and like make them like maybe those examples of people that brought at least something to the table as far as like being somewhat entertaining, then I think it'll do better.
Yeah, I think with civilians too, there's going to be a lot less metagaming. Like, they're not going to be looking for one gamer, one housewife, one random person for the turret. Right. They'll actually get to just judge everybody based on what's happening in the game, which I think will be a nice fresh take to have a lot of strategy that we'll actually get to see, because I think a lot of times Traitors tries to pretend like there isn't this metagame strategy and they don't put it to air. And I think that might be part of why some of these people get purpled, is they talk about the meta strategy, because how else are you going to do it in this game where you actually have close to no information?
Right.
So I think with civilians, it'll be more interesting to see how they figure it out without having these metagame aspects to go off of.
Yeah, for sure. To close this out, I mean, who was your favorite player or character of this Traitors season?
I mean, I don't want to just go with the obvious, but the obvious is Rob R. I mean, I would say because he was so strategic. I did like Eric a lot, though, because I thought he brought like an interesting personality to the game, and like especially to see him go from faithful to traitor, like that was really interesting to see. Like, he just seems really down to earth, and like was trying to figure out the game and a little too gullible at times, but like was willing to allow himself to be treacherous, so to speak, which we even saw like at the final thing when Rob says, let's continue the game. Eric knows what's about to happen, so he could just roll over and die, but he didn't. He like came up with a pretty good argument to vote out Rob, which was like, why have you been in the game, Mora? Like, to who else is left here?
Right.
So I guess, yeah, I'll say Eric.
That's a good pick. Zach.
Someone's gonna say Rob.
Yeah, like the obvious answer is Rob. He was the GOAT of this season. I think just to do someone other than Rob, I might have to go with Lisa. I actually she was not the most like strategic player, but she was very entertaining the whole time. Like when I forget the name of the housewife they murdered at the tree, when they had their argument, they're like, I'll see you at BravoCon. No, you won't. And then her murder in plain sight was pretty iconic. That was fun to watch her be like, oh no, I'm being stabbed. The pin's stabbing me. Someone help it, please. And then it causing Jam Jam to get pulled away yelling that it was her because of the kiss.
Yeah, that was an iconic moment. Like, that was definitely one of my favorite moments of like Alan just yelling, "It's you, Jam Jam," and then the dramatic. Like, I think that part was definitely worth what they were saying about that episode. Since he's not been said, because we wanted to go with other people. I mean, like, Eric and Lisa are both good picks, but I have to go with Rob R. I mean, I had negative first impressions of this dude. I said in our first podcast, this guy comes off like a douchebag, and then actually like following his game, watching his game, and like kind of getting to know what we got to know from him. Like, I saw him just evolve as a player, and like he's not just like that one note like Love Island bro that's there to just like make out with the women. Like, you know, he is completely complex, and I think I like that. So yeah, I'll say Rob R.
Yeah, I mean, I would give honorable mentions to 2 because they made me feel, I guess, good feelings in the sense of like they made me laugh, which not for the reasons they wanted to make people laugh, but because they made me laugh, it's enjoyable to watch them. And one, I mean, I know what you're going to say, but like Michael Rappaport made me laugh because like of the ridiculousness of it. And then on a little of a different sense, Mark Ballas, because it was just ridiculous that he was purpled, like making a show of it on social media. And then like he continued to be purpled. So it was funny to see.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to honorable mention Mora, because there's a few times watching her, like with the musical chairs challenge, just watching her be so mad as she's doing these challenges, or having Rob literally carry her through the challenges, and then all the way down to her reaction at the end. She kept giving great, sometimes very ironic moments, always asking, "Why am I still here?" and it's like, and not coming to the obvious logical conclusion ever.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Rob in that musical chairs challenge was so funny when he's like yelling at Mark. He's like, "Why would you bring back $750 when there's 5,000?" Which that should have been the hint we needed to know that he would want all the money for himself at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
True. All right, well, that is the Traitors finale. We hope you've enjoyed our Traitors coverage of the premiere and the finale, and also the episode I did with Austin on his channel. But yeah, subscribe, like, share, comment, and yeah, join us for more of our reality TV coverage as we talk about Survivor 50 coming up tomorrow. We'll be having our first recap of that. And yeah, everything else that is on our channel. So we'll see you all next time for more reality TV coverage on the Tribe of Nerds.